Week 1 of the 2021-22 NBA playoffs is over, which means it's time to run it back. This is Run It Back NBA Week in Review. This is the show where we recap the week that was, then take a deep dive into that week for select teams. Tonight, we'll share our fan experts picks for the first round of the playoffs and update each series. Additionally, we're going to have a conversation around a question of the day: which lower seed team is most likely to win their series? I'm excited to be joined today after some time off by Isaac Edelman of our partner site, flteams.com. Isaac and I will be discussing the playoffs. We're excited to have you with us. As always, if you're watching live, please join us on Facebook or YouTube, where you could leave your comments, questions. We would love to make this as interactive as possible. We want to hear your thoughts on your team. Before we get into it, I want to remind you that the NBA playoffs means next level basketball. Get in on the first round action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets instantly. You win no matter what. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game during the first round of the playoffs and get $150 in free bets instantly. That's promo code TBPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA and sponsor of Run It Back NBA Week in Review. All right, now it's time to bring in Isaac and myself and talk about each first round match. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to go Eastern Conference first, and then we're going to jump into the Western Conference. We're going to give ourselves no more than 5 minutes per series and kind of give our thoughts on it. Now, I'm a West Coast guy. Isaac is an East Coast guy, so it should be pretty interesting conversation. It always is when Isaac is with us. We missed you the last couple of weeks, Isaac. Welcome back.
Glad to be back and glad to be able to do Run It Back Week in Review for the NBA playoffs, because for someone like myself, a Heat fan, I got sick of my team winning in the regular season. I just wanted the playoffs to start, and I finally got that.
All right. I can't think of any better segue than that for this slide. The Heat are taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Now, Isaac is a Heat guy. His site, flteams.com, does a phenomenal job of covering the Heat as well as the Magic. But the Heat are the only Florida team playing right now. Before we get into your thoughts on this series, and I'll share, what I've seen so far, we want to share our fan experts' picks. You can see the Heat on the left, the Hawks on the right. Predominantly, we favor the Heat. The best or the most selected pick is Heat in 6, which I'll share my thoughts in a bit. It does look like we have a couple of people at the Peach Basket who have some confidence in the Hawks. And after we saw what they did to the Sixers last season, it's warranted. But let's go ahead and dive into it now. The Heat are currently up 2-1. They just lost game 3 in Atlanta. Again, in front of a great crowd. There might be some injury issues with the Heat now too. So let's talk about them. The floor is yours. This is your team. What do you think of the Heat's play so far? And do you think the Hawks are going to win another game?
Well, thank you, Jose. This is exactly what I thought would happen in this series. The Heat are much better than the Hawks. I think they're much better than a lot of teams in the playoffs. Hence, they're the number 1 seed. The Heat won the first 2 games, both at home. And then you head to Atlanta in front of their home crowd, down 0-2 in the series. They win. That's not surprising. It's really hard to beat a team 4 games and sweep them. And if you're going to beat a team 4-1, I bet you that the one game they win is the first game back at home. So, in my opinion, I don't think the Hawks are going to win any more games the rest of the series. That prediction may be wrong, but I do think the Heat are going to clean up this series sometime soon. Injury problems for the Heat. Kyle Lowry is dealing with a hamstring strain. It's kind of concerning. If you look at Kyle Lowry's stats, you say, well, he doesn't put up a lot of points per game. Well, guess what? I think he is Miami's key piece. Aside from Tyler Hero, I mean, Lowry literally runs the Heat offense. He doesn't run it in a way of scoring, but he runs it in a way of dishing out assists. He's that veteran leader that the Heat have. So that's a big loss, but it should allow Victor Oladipo to get some minutes. So far, he's gotten 0 minutes in the playoffs. I think that
Especially when you see how
Oladipo
good
is
he ended
ready.
the season, right?
Exactly. He scored 40 points against the Magic.
Yeah.
And Skip Bayless, who knows what you can believe out of him. He claims that Jimmy Butler does not want to play with Oladipo.
I saw that. Is that
Either
Skip
way?
Bayless? I mean, do you put any weight on that at all as a Heat fan?
Not at all. Nope.
All right.
But either way, I feel like Oladipo is that player, right? He scored 40 points last game of the season. I feel like he's ready to go on the floor, knock down threes. Yeah. He's a tremendous defender for a guard. I think he's just ready to score. So I think that the Larry loss is not that big. Just to quickly recap the series, Jimmy Butler has been the star player for the Heat. He scored 40 points in that one game. He's phenomenal. The Heat are defending well. The one concern for this Heat team is the final seconds of a game. The Heat are down. We saw this last game in Game 3.
Yeah.
Who do you go to?
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, if he has the hot hand. Who you go to him? I just don't know who you trust on the Heat. You need to find someone, especially if the Heat are going to make it far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I saw you tweet that, and it's always interesting. It always catches my eye when you tweet something negative about the Heat, but that's spot on. I mean, Jimmy Butler is, in this last game, he took the last shot, well defended, tough shot, but you want somebody who maybe is going to either get a good shot for himself or somebody else. And in that instance, Jimmy Butler didn't do that. And historically, and you've watched a lot more Heat basketball than I have, that's been a weakness for the team, right?
Exactly. All season long, I've been saying this.
Yeah.
One thing to talk about is the Heat are the best defensive team in basketball. So when an opposing team gets the final shot, I don't need to worry. But when the Heat get the final shot, I do need to worry. But anyway, as it stands, the Heat are up 2-1 in the series. Game 4 is in Atlanta. Then we'll head back to Miami. The Heat need to stay healthy, and they need to just keep up, their work. So far in the playoffs, they're playing how they've been playing in the regular season, which is very good because in the regular season, they were the best team in basketball, maybe besides the Phoenix Suns. But as I told you in our private Slack chat today, the team that's going to win the championship is the team that's going to stay healthy. So I hope Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo stay healthy, and also Tyler Hero.
Yeah. It's a hard reality of the NBA, right? The healthiest team has the best chance, and that's just always been true. Every team who finished second, third, or fourth has got a if only story, and that'll probably be true again this season. All right, entertaining series. We'll see how this one plays out. We'll stay in the Eastern Conference and jump to the Celtics versus the Nets. This is a very interesting series in my estimation. People were so sad, I think, for Boston because they thought, they got the short end of the stick here. They've got a very good Nets team in the first round. This was supposed to be a competitive series. So far, it hasn't been. Jason Tatum went off tonight, 39 points, a key steal to hold. I said, I don't know if you heard me. I'm sorry. Jason Tatum had 39 points. Can you hear me? Isaac.
I
39 points. A key. I'm messing with Isaac because he's not a particularly big Jason Tatum fan, but he showed up today, man. He's a superstar in my book. He's still on the fence with Isaac, but undeniable that the Celtics are kind of dominating this series. They're up 3-0 now. Our fan experts had the Celtics winning in 6, but not by a landslide. A good portion of them had the Nets winning in 7, which theoretically is still possible. Let's see how this plays out. So with that as an intro, you're the East Coast guy. Come on, man. You gotta give a little love to Jason Tatum. He's doing something special in Boston right now.
Well, maybe I won't give credit to him, but I do have to give credit to the Boston Celtics team as a whole. This series is not going as I planned, and I think most NBA fans did not plan this. I
Same.
don't think anyone expected the Celtics to go up 3-0, and I don't think that's saying anything bad about the Celtics. That's just saying how good the Nets are, because the Nets are a very good team.
Yeah.
Besides from the obvious Kyrie Irving and obviously Kevin Durant, Patty Mills steps up, and the Nets are just running the ball down the court, scoring from anywhere in the court as Kevin Durant does. But what's concerning is that the Celtics are just eating up on the Nets. And it's something that just cannot happen because the Nets are not the best team in the NBA. I think the Bucks are better. I think the Heat are better. But the Celtics are doing this to the Nets. Now, I still have a lot of confidence in the Nets. I think they will definitely win at least one more game. I wouldn't be surprised if they won this series, but it is so rare to win a series when you're down 3-0. So I do have to have my doubts, but I wouldn't be surprised. This Nets team is talented. The Celtics are talented. The Celtics, do have some injury problems, though. Robert Williams was back today, though, and I'm sure he's definitely going to be back next game. I just think that the Nets have one problem, and that's staying in games. They literally stay in games, right? They could make 3 more shots and they win a game, but they don't. It's close, competitive. The Nets never get blown out. I don't know what to say. Jose, I know you're a West Coast guy. I'm sure you've watched this series a little bit. What is going on with the Nets? Because they're not getting blown out. They're playing well, but they're just not playing as good as the Celtics are.
Yeah, and I hate to oversimplify it, but this is a game of superstars. In the history of the NBA, the only team that won without a superstar were the Detroit Pistons of 2006. They were a team of great individual players led by Chauncey Billups. Generally, you've got a superstar, a Magic Johnson, a Larry Bird, a Giannis Antetokounmpo. These are the players that, kind of like what you said, Isaac, who you can trust to make a big shot at the key time, make a good pass. And for the Nets, that player has got to be Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's not showing up. It's mind-boggling. Now, if you're a Boston Celtics fan, you credit the Celtics defense, and maybe that's it. I don't know what it is. He didn't shoot poorly today, 2 of 3 from 3, 6 of 11 overall, but 11 shots for your star, 16 points total. It's shocking. I mean, it's shocking. Kevin Durant has not yet shown up, and that I think is the problem for the Nets.
Well, I'll tell you what another problem is: the absence of someone who's very important. Game 4, the Nets need to win or go home. And who's going to play in Game 4? The one and only Ben Simmons. If the Nets somehow win this series, I mean, it could be a big story if Ben Simmons makes an impact. He's obviously, hate him, make jokes about him, make memes. He's an elite defensive player, right? He may not be good offensively, but he's elite. He can easily shut down Tatum. Even a bad defender can shut down Tatum. No.
There it is. All right. I'm going to let you have the last word. on that. Because I started, and so I'm going to let you finish. The Nets aren't winning.
In all seriousness, though, Ben Simmons is going to be back Game 4. Bearing any setback. Is that going to change anything, Jose?
No. That's not going to change a thing. Okay. This guy hasn't played. This will be his first game with this team, and he hasn't played all season long. Listen, I'm sure he's going to be fine. He'll be who he is. Your defense, is oftentimes the last thing to come back, right? As you get your legs under you. So as good as he is defensively, it might take him a while to get back there. So he's not going to make a difference. The Nets are in trouble. They're going to lose this series. And interestingly, I think, is what comes next for them. We'll talk about that another time. But, Coach Nash might be gone. They might blow this team up. I think they put all their eggs in one basket with that Simmons trade, and it just hasn't played out. We'll see. I don't know. I'd love to bring in a Nets fan to talk more detail about it after their season is over, which will be soon. Let's move on. We're going to stay in the Eastern Conference and go to this one. Well, let me start with our picks, right? Our fan experts, I think, I don't think it's obvious. They had literally no confidence in the Chicago Bulls. And why would they? The Chicago Bulls played great in the regular season, except when they played teams that were good. Teams above 500, they struggled with in their own conference. And that's who they're going to play in the playoffs. So there was absolutely no reason to have any confidence in the Bulls. They played okay against the Bucks, but the Bucks are the superior team. Right now, they lead 2-1. We have got them winning, in 4. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But, no confidence in the Bulls. I know you're a Bulls fan. I know that you like their style of play. Do they have any chance against the Bucks?
I think they do. I'm going to be honest. I completely forgot to vote. If I was going to vote, I would.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's my bad. I would have picked Bulls in 7, and I'm going to stick with that. I mean, nothing is sticking out to me that says the Bulls can't do that. Nothing is sticking out to me that says the Bulls won't do that. The Bucks are playing well. The Bulls are playing well. I think that the Bulls and Bucks are playing as they did in the regular season, except the Bulls are finally beating, a team that they couldn't beat in the regular season. Look, DeMar DeRozan scored 40-plus points the other night. He did that in the regular season. But one thing that's sticking out to me is that Zach LaVine is actually playing worse than he did in the regular season, which is interesting. But then Vucevic is playing better than he did in the regular season. So just combining all the pieces together, the Bulls are the same team. The Bucks are the same team. Both of these teams are interesting because one team might now be better. The loss of Middleton is huge. I mean, that injury is taking him out for the rest of the series. Middleton is now gone. The Bucks just have Giannis and maybe Drew Holiday. What is telling me that the Bulls can't win this series if I had them winning the series in 7 before Middleton's injury, right? Before game 1. I don't know, but Middleton's out for the rest of the series. The Bucks are more in trouble than the Bulls because the Bulls just need to play like they always do. But the Bucks are now going to rely more on Giannis, which is not a problem. Giannis is an MVP caliber player, but it's just a big loss, right?
Yeah.
In the NBA Finals during last year, the Bucks weren't without Middleton. I don't know if the Bucks could live without the loss of Middleton. Has Middleton been injured this season? I mean, maybe a few games, but I don't think the Bucks have played without Middleton a lot. So,
yeah,
I don't. This is kind of. I know we call ourselves, fan experts, but this is something like we need like an actual player on the Bucks to let us know. Like, is this a big loss? Obviously, it's a big loss, but they have Giannis. Like, I'm kind of like speechless. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Bulls. I know the Bucks are better, but without Middleton, are the Bucks better?
Yeah. Well, it evens it. It certainly favors the Bulls. I don't think there's any doubt. Chris Middleton is a veteran. He's a champion. He's a guy you can trust to take the last shot. To kind of keep that theme alive. He's a huge loss. He's a huge loss. At the end of the day, though, the Bucks are better than the Bulls, even without Chris Middleton. Whether they've got enough, to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and beyond, that's debatable. We'll see, but. Anything that unleashes more Giannis is at the end of the day pretty good because he's phenomenal. He's just an unbelievable talent and a champion and a guy you could trust at the end, just not from too far away. So we'll see. I mean, I think this is interesting. I think certainly the Bulls have an opportunity now, unfortunately, with Middleton down. And again, going back to a recurring theme, the healthiest team is going to win the championship. And if the Bucks can get back Middleton, they've got as good a chance as any. They will likely get past the first round, but we'll see what the future holds. I think it depends a lot on Middleton's health. Last series in the East before we jump to the West.
This is sticking with the theme of staying healthy. Am I right?
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be recurring every single series across both conferences. Let's start first with the predictions. Our fan experts had the Sixers winning in 6. There was a little bit of hope in the Raptors. Somebody or a few people picked them in 7, which again is still possible. They had a big loss on Embiid's 3. So they find themselves down right now. The Sixers seems to have gotten the better end of that big trade between Harden and Simmons, because I mean Harden's playing and contributing. Simmons is not doing either. I don't know what to say about this one. I think this one is as good as done. The Raptors are a very good team, but Philly is just, I think they're better. I mean, what are your thoughts, Isaac?
Yeah, the Sixers are definitely better. Whether the Raptors win the next 2 games or not, the Sixers are the better team. If the Sixers lose the series, then that's their fault. It's really not the Raptors outplaying the Sixers. It's the Sixers.
Yeah, that's good.
Not outplaying the Raptors. I think that Embiid is putting up his usual numbers. Maxey has been phenomenal. James Harden is not playing that well, though. But the Raptors have an interesting situation because Fred VanVleet went down with an injury in today's win. But I don't think he's going. I mean, I haven't heard an injury update, but he tore his shirt. He looked visibly upset when he left the court. So that's not a good sign. I don't think he is going to play in the next game. Luckily, the Raptors have Scotty Barnes back. Can they rely on him and Siakam? I don't know. Either way, the Sixers just need to stay healthy to win. Embiid is dealing with an injury. I think it's a toe or thumb. I think it's a thumb. But he's playing through it. He's going to deal with injury this offseason, but he's going to play through it. They have Maxey and Harden, like I said. The Sixers are going to win this series. I don't think there should be any, exceptions if this happens, right? If one of the Sixers' big 3 goes down, they're still going to win. Yeah. And that's even with VanVleet healthy. But yeah, this series is probably a lock. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers win this next one.
Yeah. Yeah, credit to the Raptors. They are very good at doing a lot with little talent. And I don't mean to demean them, but you don't have the superstars that you have on other teams yet. Nick Nurse and team do a phenomenal job in Toronto. There's just not enough there, unfortunately, to get past the Sixers. Let's jump to the Western Conference and start with the Suns. You brought the Suns up earlier in the regular season. The Suns and the Heat were the best teams in their respective conferences. The Suns looked unbeatable at times. They were phenomenal. They are matched up against a surprise New Orleans Pelicans, who won the play-in tournament, or the 8th spot in the play-in tournament after beating the Clippers. Nobody gave the Pelicans a shot, including our team of fan experts. We got the Suns winning in 5. Well, I mean, that's still in play, right? The Pelicans did win a game, but the thing is, the Pelicans look pretty good. They've got a great coach. And I'm not saying X's and O's type guy, but their coach seems to be a really great motivator. He's a former player recently, and he's getting these guys to believe. And what's really happening on the plus side for the Pelicans, they're seeing the Brandon Ingram that the Lakers thought they would get when they drafted him. He is playing KD. He's playing better than KD in these playoffs. And that was who the Lakers thought they would get, a KD-like player. And the Pelicans are seeing it. He has been phenomenal, smooth, comfortable, hitting big shots. The Pelicans look good, and the Suns are hurting. I mean, again, recurring theme, man, health. Devin Booker's out. So, I mean, if you ask me, and I'll just go ahead and toss my hat in the ring first as a West Coast guy, but then certainly want your thoughts. I think the Suns are going to eke out a win here, but the Pelicans are not going to make it easy. And in the playoffs, you want to get these series done quickly. I don't think this is going to be a quick series. I think this one's going to go potentially 6 games, but I think at the end of the day, the Suns will likely win it. They're the better team. They've got the experience. This is all new for the Pelicans. It'd be great, though, as a sidebar, to see Zion Williamson get some time. I don't know if it'll happen, but I think it'd be great for basketball, great for him, great for New Orleans. So that's my take. What are your thoughts? Have you watched any of this series?
This series is probably, besides the Heat, the series that I'm most interesting. Because if you present, right, the Google quiz, right, whatever, Google Forms, right, asking the Peach Basket contributors who's going to win this series, and you tell them Devin Booker is not playing in this series.
Right, yeah.
I don't know about anyone else, but I would choose the Pelicans.
Okay.
Now, the Pelicans are already down, so maybe it changes some things. I am going to go with this being a 7-game series. I agree with you. This is not going to be a quick series. Yeah. I honestly do not know who's going to win. If you really want me to make a prediction, I'll go with the Suns just because they're better, more experienced. They have CP3, unless CP3 is with that ref Foster, who he can't win with. You heard about that, right?
What are you talking about?
Chris Paul can't win with a certain referee.
Oh, Scott Foster.
Scott Foster, exactly. So
yeah.
If Scott Foster is reffing, then the Pelicans are definitely winning the series. But in all honesty, there's no Devin Booker. Really, the only thing in the Pelicans' way is CP3. And if you lock down CP3, the Pelicans have a very, very good chance of winning this series. But again, if you present this, Google form to the Peach Basket contributors and tell them Booker is not playing in the series, I bet you might have one or two people, definitely myself, pick the Pelicans to win this series. So this is going to be very interesting. It really shouldn't be, but because of the injury of Booker, the recurring theme of staying healthy, the Pelicans might sneak out a win. But honestly, it's all for nothing. I mean, maybe you'll get Zion back, but in the second round, it's all wraps.
Yeah, no, agreed. You bring up a good point. I think everything changes if we knew, right? Devin Booker wasn't going to be playing. Well, I don't know when he's expected back, but there's just something about the Pelicans right now. They've got a vibe to them. They're playing with confidence. They remind me a little bit of the Hawks last season when they took the Sixers. I wouldn't be surprised. Willie Green again is a phenomenal. He's not Popovich. He's not at that level yet, but he seems to be a really great motivator, and these guys are really rallying around him, and it's fun to see.
Yeah. Have you seen this young stud Alvarado, where he's stealing the ball, hiding?
Are you kidding, man? The only Jose in the NBA. Of course I know Mr. Alvarado.
Hey,
I'm a fan,
he's
man.
Amazing. He's quick. He's shifty. It's up. He plays like no other player does. I don't know why no other players try to be sneaky and steal the balls off the inbound, but he does it, and you can't make fun of him. Plus, if you're looking at it from a social media perspective, oh my gosh. I mean, people on social media love what he's doing. Hiding behind players, hiding in the bench, and then just coming out and steal the ball. He is the one player that could guard CP3 in a funny way, but in a good way. He can literally shut down CP3. And what's amazing is you look at their age difference. You look at, the amount of experience both players have. There's a huge gap in between them. But the Pelicans are doing all of the right things. Ingram, McCollum, you name it. Valentine Jr. is defending well in the paint. I don't think the Pelicans will go down without a fight. By the way, DeAndre Ayton is not the DeAndre Ayton of last year, right? In the playoffs last year, Ayton was putting up phenomenal numbers. He's not in the playoffs. He's not playing bad, but he's not playing like last year. And with Booker out, I don't know what to say. I think that the Pelicans are right now outmatching the Suns, but they are down one game in the series. So who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. And to his credit, Ayton did play well in game 3 with Booker out. But you're right. This season, he seems to have taken, a step back. They're going to need him without Booker to move forward, which I still think they will, but I don't think it'll be all that easy. Let's stay in the Western Conference now and talk about this very interesting series. These are two teams, two franchises who have not been good for a very long time. We've got a phenomenal contributor who covers the Timberwolves, Robert. When I talked to Robert and I asked him, well, who's your team? He almost apologized. He said the Timberwolves. Because, again, this has not been a good team for a very long time. This season, they've been very good. The Timberwolves won the play-in, secured the 7th spot. Nobody gave me a chance against the Grizzlies. These are both young teams, but the Grizzlies just played so well. They seem to be a cohesive unit. And yet, the Timberwolves are playing well. Now, they blew a big lead, and we're going to see what this team has now, because whenever you lose, it hurts, especially at home. But whenever you lose after being up big, that sticks with you, man. How they bounce back is going to be very, very important. That game is going on right now. I'm not going to check the score. I'll check it later. But we'll see. It'll be very, very interesting to see. I think that this is going to be a fun series, an entertaining series, more evenly matched than a lot of people think. Our fan experts had the Grizzlies winning in 7 with not a whole lot of confidence in the Timberwolves. I understand that. I think that's probably a safe bet. But again, the Timberwolves, I think their most important game is game 4. They've got to bounce back. Doesn't mean they have to win it. Now, obviously, if they don't, they're in a whole 3-1. They got to win. They got to win every other game. But they've got to show that they can come back and play well, play competitively. If they're blown out in this game, it's over. This is an important game for them. Have you seen any of this matchup? And what are your thoughts, Isaac?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of this matchup because these two teams have a lot of flashy players. John Morant, Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns. It's a fun series to watch. It's definitely fun because Patrick Beverley is in it and he intensifies the drama. But these two teams kind of match up with each other. I know one team is a 2 seed, one team is a 7 seed. And in my opinion, both of these teams are similar in skill. I know it's interesting to say because the Grizzlies had much more wins than the Timberwolves in the regular season. But these two teams are like equal. Like John Morant, Anthony Edwards, very similar in skill level. They both play differently, but they're similar. Karl-Anthony Towns is an interesting player because he stretches the floor, but so does Jaren Jackson. I really like this series, but after what I saw with the Timberwolves, and they had the big lead and then they lost it, like you said, that sticks with them. How are they going to bounce back? This is another for like the time on this running back show. I don't know, right? The NBA is very interesting. It's very questionable. You don't know what's going to happen on a given night. But one thing is for sure, this game is not going to be a wrap unless, like you said, the Grizzlies blow out the Timberwolves in game 4, because that would be 2 straight, really playoff defining losses. You can't really lose big 2 times in a row, let alone you were up big and then you lose big. So the Timberwolves, honestly, they need to get this drama out of their head with Beverly. And I know the big social media thing was Karl-Anthony Towns saying something about Memphis, and then they went on to lose. It's like just to win first, and then you could say something post game, which you shouldn't even say anyway. But focus on playing basketball. Patrick Beverley does a good job, I'll admit, at doing both. He can play basketball while talking dirty at the same time.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, Beverly's not going to do what he did in the play-in tournament, right? It really has to be Edwards. For whatever reason, Edwards is not going off in the playoffs, which I expected him to do. I thought he was that player who goes crazy. I'd like to see more from D'Angelo Russell, but honestly, the Grizzlies are just on a roll. John Morant's playing well. Desmond Bane is playing well. I think the Grizzlies are going to win this series. I do have a question for you, Jose, and I know you're a West Coast guy, so hopefully you can answer this. Do the Grizzlies have a strong chance at blowing out the Timberwolves in game 4?
Well, I cheated and I looked at the score. I said I wouldn't. I think the chance it was there, but listen, even knowing what I know now, and I'll share what I just saw, the Timberwolves are too good. They're too good. I would not bet that they're going to get blown out tonight. I think this is a series like the other series in the Western Conference we talked about, where this is going to go 6 or 7. This is going to be competitive. These teams match up really well together. You rattled off some big names, right? The Timberwolves need Karl-Anthony Towns to make an impact. He hasn't yet. He hasn't been playing like the superstar that he's supposed to be. They need that. They need Anthony Edwards to step up. D'Lo needs to step up. I expect it to happen. This is a good team. But at the end of the day, I think the Grizzlies are just a little bit better. And they've got home court advantage. That's going to matter. So, no, I don't see them getting blown out tonight. And spoiler alert, they're not yet. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But entertaining series to be sure. Like you said, these guys have got really fun players to watch. And Patrick Beverley, who is, the wild card. I think this will be fun. I think this will be a good series and a long drawn out series. Let's talk about a series that is not going to be long and drawn out. Surprisingly so. Hold on a second. I'm actually take a step back because I don't know. No, I did call out the fact that the Grizzlies were favored. I'm sorry. I just wasn't sure. Let's start with the picks. Our picks, fan experts, had the Warriors winning in 6 with a little bit of love for the Nuggets. Not a lot. Now, I don't honestly remember, but I think I might have picked the Nuggets here. They're such a good team. They've got that incredible home court advantage playing a mile high, which impacts teams that run, which is what the Warriors want to do. Jokic is just an unbelievable talent. He's so good. Now, I know that after Jokic, he doesn't have a beta to his alpha, unfortunately, right now. With Jamal Murray being out, which is unfortunate. That would change everything. But I just thought, the Warriors kind of limped to the finish line. The Nuggets were so good. They've got such a great player, MVP caliber player. I thought for sure there was going to be a battle. I thought for sure this is going to go 6-7 games and almost be a toss-up. I have to revisit my pick, but I think that's what I picked. I think I had the Nuggets in 7. Completely wrong. These Warriors are playing like the Warriors that won championships. Their offense is amazing. They pass the ball around in a way that we haven't seen since the Warriors of 5-6 years ago. They're good, and now they've got Jordan Poole. They've got another Splash brother, as if they didn't have enough talent. It's almost unfair. What they're doing right now is incredible. They look healthy. They're certainly motivated. They know that their window is closing. They want a ring, man, and this team is hungry. They're well coached. They've won championships. They are not going to give up an opportunity to sweep this Nuggets team. They're not. This team, a lot of teams up 3-0 will let the foot off the gas. Will go a little easy. Maybe give their stars a little bit of chance, a little bit of rest. This Warriors team is going to go for the win. I guarantee it. They're going to go for the sweep, not because there's any, you don't get extra points for sweeping a team, but they want that extra rest. They know you don't mess with an opponent. This is a good team, a veteran team with young blood in it, and Jordan Poole, who's doing incredible things. This team's good, man, and scary good. 3-0 is a shock to me, but I did not expect them to be this good. But right now they're this good and they're looking scary. Have you gotten a chance rather to see any of this series?
I haven't watched any of this series live, but I've watched highlights of this series. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's say Nikola Jokic gets a 40-point triple-double.
Yeah.
It means nothing to me, and especially Golden State. Playing against Golden State with Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and now Jordan Poole, what's a 40-point triple-double going to do to a team if you have no alphas, like you said?
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon is not that good. Obviously, Jamal Murray is phenomenal, as we saw in the NBA bubble, but he's injured. The Nuggets have literally no one besides Nikola Jokic. Michael Porter Jr., he's obviously injured too, was kind of a solid piece. He plays similar to Kevin Durant, definitely not anything close in skill, but he plays similar. And the way Brandon Ingram's playing, Michael Porter Jr. could easily play like that. But we can't talk about that part of the equation because those players are injured. Jokic could go off. He could score 50 points. I don't think that's still good enough to beat Golden State. Because, I mean, let's be honest. Who else do the Nuggets have besides Jokic? Jokic could put up a career-high 78 points. I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets still lose. Like, this Golden State team does not have a lot of defense, but their offense just makes up for that lack of defense. Obviously, James Wiseman's not going to play in the playoffs, so maybe Golden State will struggle against tougher opponents like the Heat. But honestly, Golden State is going to sweep the Nuggets. I think that you said everything that you needed to say. No NBA team wants to play around with an opponent. No NBA team does not want rest. So I think Golden State's wrapping this up game 4. And that's even with Jokic playing the game of his life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, honestly, though, do the Nuggets have someone to go to if Jokic is injured? The answer is no. And
No.
I don't know what the Nuggets need to do next year. I know we're talking about this in this playoffs, but next year I don't even know what they need to do. I guess they have Jamal Murray, but you kind of need someone else.
Agreed. Yeah, they'll get Murray back. They've got a really great young player in Bones Highland, which is the coolest name in the NBA. I think I like Bones Highland as a player. I think he's a great fit. But that's the thing; they've got a bunch of players like that. These are solid players. Which is great in the NBA, but you need your alpha, you need your A1, and right now all they've got is a phenomenal alpha in Jokic, but he's all alone, and that's a lonely place to be.
Yeah, it's interesting if you put Jokic on a team like the Magic. A Magic team with Jokic is basically a Nuggets team with Jokic, with Jamal Murray out. It's
sure.
kind of similar.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. You take a player of his caliber, you put him on a non-playoff team, they're a playoff team, but that's it. Right?
But like a Nuggets playoff team, exactly. You can't make it fun.
No, it's unfortunate. I really expected more from the Nuggets. I think they might eke out one win in the series, but that's about it. Let's talk about the last series in the West. Right now, the only one that is really showing, looks to be really competitive. Now, we've said a lot of these are going to go 6-7 games, but we think that the winner is pretty evident. Here, it's a little bit of a toss-up. The Mavericks and the Jazz, our fan experts were torn at 50-50. They had the Mavs in 7 or the Jazz in 6. And that makes sense. These are two kind of evenly matched teams. The Jazz limped to the finish line. The Mavericks, finished with a little bit more head of steam. So they're likely, should be in this series, should be the favorite in this series. But then they lost Luka. You don't lose a player like Luka and not feel it. That hurt this team. But now Luka's back. He is the epitome of the guy you want to take the last shot or, make the last play. They lost today with Luka back, but he was phenomenal. This is the series that's tied. This is the series that I think definitively we all thought beforehand is going to go 6 or 7. A bit of a toss-up. Great teams. Luka has never advanced far in the playoffs. The Jazz have, so they've got that advantage. But Luka's the best player. This is so interesting. It'll be very, very fascinating to see how this plays out. Have you seen any of this series, Isaac? What are your thoughts?
That's always your question. Yes, I've seen this series because of just the competitiveness, like you said. These two teams are phenomenal. You got Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell on one side, and you got Luka Doncic and Jalen Brunson on the other side.
Yeah, he's been great.
Brunson is phenomenal. He is amazing. He won College Player of the Year a few years ago at Villanova, yet he was drafted in the 2nd round. Turns out he's literally like a first-round pick, like a top 10 pick. The way he's playing, phenomenal. Now you got Doncic back. I know the return of Doncic was spoiled by Rudy Gobert's game-winning shot, thanks to Donovan Mitchell's feed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with the Mavericks here just because Doncic and Brunson are the better duo, in my opinion, than Gobert and Mitchell. It's kind of an interesting thing for me to say. I guess I need to think about that more. I meant offensively. Obviously, Rudy Gobert's defensive skill is just off the wall.
Yeah.
But I just think that the Mavericks are going to win. They're not necessarily the better team. Honestly, these two teams are very even. But I think when you throw in Dinwiddie, then you can throw in Mike Conley on the other side, right?
Yeah.
It's like you throw in one player on the Mavericks, you throw in another player on the Jazz. They're equal. So this is going 7. Honestly, if it doesn't go 7, I would be surprised because Doncic will score 40 points one game, well, Mitchell's going to do it the other game. That's what we saw in the bubble, right? You remember the Nuggets Jazz series? Amazing. This could be like that, except not in the bubble.
I think the Jazz have a lot riding on this because I think, we talk about the window, right? The Warriors window is clearly closing for that phenomenal team. The Jazz window is closing too. They've had Gobert now in his prime for multiple years, have not gone far. Donovan Mitchell, they haven't had quite as long, but if they lose this series and are out, I think Utah's got to take a serious look at, because they're not going to get any better. They are where they are as players. So there's a lot of rumblings about blowing things up in Utah. And now listen, I'm in LA, so a lot of those rumbles I think might be coming from hopeful Lakers fans who love the idea of shipping Russell Westbrook there to give Utah that expiring contract to make some moves and some flexibility and getting back really good players and even stealing the coach, Quinn Snyder. It might be pie in the sky hope, but I do think if the Utah Jazz lose this series and are knocked out in the first round, I think that the Jazz team might blow up. I think it's very, very possible. Whether that creates an advantage for the Lakers or not, we don't know. Who knows? But I do think it's a very, very strong possibility because this Jazz team has been together for a while, kind of like what we saw in Portland. They let CJ and Dame get as much opportunity as they could. They tried to build around him. It didn't work. So they shipped CJ. And now they're trying to rebuild around Dame. So I think something like that will likely happen. Gobert would be gone. We'll see if the coach remains, and they'll try to just build around Spider Mitchell. We'll see. Be very interesting to see how that plays out. That's the overview of the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. That's our thoughts. Now we're going to go ahead and talk question of the day. Before we do, though, I want to remind you all once again to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game during the first round of the playoffs and get $150 in free bets instantly. That's promo code TBPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA and sponsor of Run It Back, NBA Week in Review. We talked playoffs, so it makes sense that this NBA question of the day is playoff related. In front of you, if you're watching, are the lower seed teams. They're all behind in their current series with the exception of the Utah Jazz. We just talked about them. They're tied. Isaac, you get the first go at this one. Which lower seed team is most likely to win their series? Not saying they're going to win it, but most likely to win it.
Most likely, I'm going with the Bulls. Middleton's out. Okay. I love what the Bulls were doing, and I can take away my bias, and I still look in front of me. I see someone named Caruso, DeRozan, Vucevic, and
strong team.
Zach LaVine. I mean, those are star players. And then right now, you look, the Bucks just have Giannis, Giannis is obviously way more skilled than any players on the Bulls roster. But when you add up, the skill on the Bulls roster, I think they're most likely to win their series. But honorable mention to the Pelicans, Jazz, and the Timberwolves.
Okay. Very interesting. You did not pick the one correct answer, and that is the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are the one lower seed team here most likely to win their series. And of course, I'm messing with you. I think the Chicago Bulls, I don't have the confidence in them that you do, but I know that you have been a fan for this season. I think you said, Heat 1, Bulls 2. They're certainly fun to watch, and I hate to see them out this early. The Timberwolves have a good opportunity. I like that team, but the Jazz are the one team. I'm not. Again, I'm not saying they're going to win, and I don't think any of these teams are going to advance. I mean, let's call that first. But I think the team with the best opportunity are the Utah Jazz.
By the way, I do see one of these teams winning. I just think that it's rare that, because the Timberwolves series is tough. The Jazz series is tough. The Pelicans series is going to get tough, and the Bulls series is going to get tough. I just think that that's 4 matchups. I just see one of them going in the way of the lower seed, especially because the Timberwolves are not really the lower seed. I'm going to call it the equal seed, right? They match up with the Grizzlies. The Jazz match up with the Mavericks.
Yeah,
but the Bulls is kind of interesting because Middleton, here's the thing. We haven't seen the Bucks without Middleton. We've seen the Bucks without Giannis, but we haven't seen them without Middleton. So we'll see. But the Bulls are fully healthy. I mean, they don't have Lonzo Ball, but they've been dealing with that for a long time.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It'll be interesting. I do think it would be great in the NBA to see a team come back from 3-0. Has not happened. It would be phenomenal if it did, and I would love to be wrong. But right now I'm picking the Jazz. We'll see how that goes. All right. I see that our next segment is up, ready, and loaded. We have done this once or twice before. I think this is something we'll do. I think once. We'll do this as part of our live show. So if you happen to be watching and you're here now, join us, and we'd love to have your guesses. NBA Wordle is called Purtle, rhymes with turtle. If you haven't played, it's pretty fun. Isaac introduced this to me about a week ago, and I've gotten pretty good at it. I think there's only been one time when I couldn't guess. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this together. We get 8 chances to pick a player. We are going to use the silhouette though, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let me go ahead and pull in the Purtle for today. And it's a little fuzzy for me, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Go ahead, man. Let's take a look at the silhouette, and
here we go. Oh no!
Oh man, that's easy. That's Aaron Gordon.
Actually,
that's what I think. That's my first pick.
Yeah, no,
it's not Aaron Gordon.
Well, I'm gonna. You probably heard me say, "Oh no," right? So many players have this hairstyle, like Tyrese Maxey, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, literally everyone. I'm gonna go with, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but hopefully this does help. And obviously, it shows that it's not in the Northwest Division. So I'm gonna go with a guy who's on the Pelicans, Alvarado. I don't know what he looks like, but I feel like.
Oh. You got more green now.
Well, we got the division, so it's in the Pacific Division, which Jose, you're very familiar with, having the Lakers and Clippers there.
Yep. All right, so, and let's go back.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, number 15. Hopefully, wow, we got the number.
We got the number. He's a guard.
I think number 15 on the Suns is Cameron Payne, I believe, so it's not him.
All right, let's see the silhouette again.
Ooh. What team got the Golden State? Doesn't it? Maybe it's the Clippers. Oh, the Sacramento.
Okay. No. Yeah, you said Clippers, and all of a sudden, that could be Terrence Mann. What's the age?
Below 24 years old.
Below 24. Okay, try Terrence Mann.
No, it's not.
Oh, wow.
It's number 15. It's probably going to be someone on the... Oh, isn't there someone... Is there that guy Bagley on the Kings?
Yeah, Marvin Bagley. Try it. I don't know.
Well, all right, he's 23 years. I bet you it's
someone. He's not even on the Kings anymore.
Yeah. But wait, this does help us. No, it doesn't. Never mind. It could be the opposite way. It shows yellow under the team logo if they've played for that team, and I was going to think if they played for the King. So honestly, I'm I know the Lakers well, and you definitely do. This is not someone in the Lakers, correct?
No. All right.
Number
Here's.
15.
Oh
Number
wait.
15.
This is a guard.
Yes.
All right. So
It's
it's not
probably
what.
someone on the Kings, if we're going to be honest here.
Shoot, man.
Golden State, Clippers, Lakers, Suns, Kings. It's not the Clippers. It's not the Suns, and I'm just saying that because Cameron Payne is number 15.
All right, pull it up one more time. We're gonna have to make a pick here. The silhouette.
One guess 5. All right, so we have a. I
It's
don't
not
know.
that.
We're embarrassing ourselves this time.
We are. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, you said right away Aaron Gordon. I'm like, I don't. It's
It
like
looks like Aaron Gordon to me, man.
so many people have dreadlocks.
No, it's true.
I'm trying to think of someone in the playoffs, but I guess if this
Hard,
player's on
man.
I doubt this is someone on Golden State. It has to be someone number 15. Like the number helps us a lot if we know numbers in the NBA.
I don't. That's not anything I've ever even paid attention to be honest.
Number 15. Well, at least I know that number 15 on the Suns is Cameron Payne, and I hope that's right. Who's number 15 on the Lakers? Austin Reeves?
I think so, actually. Yeah. That's definitely not Austin Reeves.
I know my stuff there, yeah. And the Clippers, I don't know who. Well, it's not the Clippers.
Yeah, well, we know it's not. We know it's not the Clippers. We know it's not the
you think I should waste a guess, like guessing?
Yeah.
I mean, De'Aaron Fox is not it because he's not number 15, but
yeah. Who's another guard?
it's not.
Yeah,
Buddy Hield's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, just waste one, man.
All right.
Harrison. Oh, it's not Harrison Barnes, but I can't think of another Kings player. Wait, who'd you pick? Oh, you did pick De'Aaron. So it's a Kings player.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, now, yeah, that's tough, man. I don't know.
The Kings have to be the team I know the least about.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Pelicans could have been that team, but now in the playoffs, I know everyone. I mean, Alvarado, you get more familiar with the teams that play well because then you see them on national TV, you see their highlights. The Kings are not up there. The Magic would be one of those teams, but I know the Magic because of FL teams. So the Kings have to be the team that I know the least about. So I don't know.
It's going to be somebody neither one of us knows very well.
Well, I'm trying to think. There's Harrison Barnes. There's Sabonis.
How old is he?
Fox. There's someone, Richaun Holmes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a forward.
But he's tall, so I don't.
And this is a guard. We just did on Twitter. We shouted out Davion Mitchell. He was the NBA leader in assists for Week 25, and that tweet got a lot of engagement. So, and I know he's young. I know he's a guard. I honestly don't know what he looks like, but try Davion Mitchell, Davion.
I don't even know who that is. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I love it. This is so fun.
Nice shot. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who that is, but I now know.
The only reason I know Davion Mitchell, like I said, we do a recurring theme actually on this show where we give a shout out to the best performers of the week. And Davion Mitchell led the NBA in assists in the final week of the season. And so I tweeted that. And man, Sacramento Kings love this guy. It got like 100 likes, tons of retweets. It kind of blew up, which was kind of cool. So that's the only reason I know Davion Mitchell. The only reason.
Well, hey, it's still impressive. It's good to actually know who he is now. And this is in any sport. I can always use more info on certain teams that are maybe not the best. But the Kings are one of those teams that God, I mean, they need to be good because Sabonis is obviously now in Sacramento, but they shipped Hield and Halliburton out, which I don't think was a good trade, right? We already talked about that, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Sacramento. And Sabonis wanting to have a say in who the next pick is. It's all very odd.
Sabonis is kind of like an alpha, right? I mean, he on most teams will be your second best player. But on the Kings, he's their best player by a mile. The Kings are in rebuild mode, but they're not doing that good of a job at rebuilding. Obviously, the Kings have De'Aaron Fox. If he stays healthy, he is phenomenal. But I don't know. I don't know what this team needs to do, what they should do. Obviously, you could trade players. De'Aaron Fox has tons of upside, but Fox is like the perfect piece you need, right? He's young. You need him.
The Kings need stability, man, and they need it from top to bottom. They just need stability. Right now, they're without a coach, so they're looking for a coach. They need stability. They need some consistency. But they've got a good core there, and they got great fans in Sacramento. So very cool. Fun to introduce you to a new player in Davion Mitchell. Oh, that's right, because I was like, how come I see just us? And that's because you were sharing. Okay, good. All right. Well, listen, that's it. Week 1 of the playoffs season is over. It's in the books. Before I let you go, though, just one more quick shout out. I've done this the last couple of weeks. If you enjoy reading, listening, watching original fan-based basketball content, consider thepeachbasket.net. We started out as a passion project for me. This is not going to go away. We love doing it. If you're curious about writing, podcasting, streaming, live tweeting, reach out to us. We're growing, and next season is going to be better than this season. This season was pretty great. We're excited to grow, excited to have partners like Isaac and FL Teams and others. And we'd love to have you come along for the ride. Hit us up at thepeachbasket.net. Let us know you're interested. That's it. That's our show. We will be back next week to recap week 2 of the playoff season. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next week.